starting his 43rd World Cup race this weekend. Dom Parsons of Great Britain, 20th place, just made the cut. World Cup career high was a bronze medal in Calgary in November 2013, and that was only his 8th World Cup start.
And we really thought that that was going to launch him into being a consistent competitor, challenging for medals, but in essence, he sort of got in neutral. And this former 400-meter runner, you know, the only thing I can say about it, he's still out here competing, but I really thought Dom Parsons was going to be had better results than he's had.
He picked up an injury, didn't he, in the pre-Olympic season leading up to Sochi, and that plagued him for a couple of years. He lost all his speed at the start. He's starting to find that again. But in fact, his last top 6 was February 2016, 2 full seasons ago.
Let's set up the track. Here's bottom part of the track. This is the speed part. This uphill section I call the graveyard. 114 kilometers is 71.1 miles an hour. Keep your eyes on that speed. You can overcome some deficiencies with good lines in the bottom.
Well, he benefits from a fresh spritz. You could see how glassy and shiny the track was. Not here, where it hasn't been sprayed with water, but on the racing surface. This is 2 things. Everybody accepts that this is one of the toughest tracks for a racer, but it's also some of the best ice you can get on the planet. The ice crew here are absolutely without peer.
7,400s better in the second run than the first run. But this is the pivotal part of the track curve, 3 to 4. Watch his body. You're going to see a lot of people have problems here in 3 to 4. If you don't have a problem at 3 to 4, you got a chance to do well at the bottom. This is that uphill section. You got to watch out on that uphill section. No mistakes allowed. Dom's in the leader's box.
And that run would have put him in 11th place in the first heat instead of 20th. Now, the other side of the experience coin is his teammate next up, Marcus Wyatt, made his debut in Innsbruck, Austria, just before Christmas. So this is World Cup race number 2. In fact, he's only competed ever in 17 races at any level. And when in Innsbruck, it was 3 years and a day since he first lay on a sled that he took his first World Cup start.
And he finished 7th.
Yeah.
So I said, what's your background? He said, football. I go, oh, soccer? He goes, no, American football.
Yeah.
Really?
Your football.
I said, my football. I looked at him and he says he played, I forget the name of the
Swansea
team.
Titans. How can you forget?
And he plays wide receiver, had a 96-yard touchdown reception he was bragging about. So obviously he's got a decent start.
And when he finished university, he was inducted into their Hall of Fame.
Well, that's obviously he's got some good speed at the start, and now he's just got to learn how to come down the track, and he's beating the more experienced Dom Parsons by almost 6/10
of a second. And Dom had a much better second heat as well, so this is a really good run. Now, it's early evening, 3:30, so, you know, it'll be dark in an hour, but the temperature is dropping.
Wow.
The track is really
it's
fast.
a lot quicker. Dom Parsons just came down almost 7,500s better, and this guy comes down, he's
top speed in the first heat was 72 miles an hour.
59.03. He just came down a second and a half better. We're in record pace here. 57.60. No. 56.10's the record. So there's still a second and a half.
Yeah, but don't forget,
record.
he was 1.8 off the lead in the first heat. If the leader goes 1.8 seconds quicker, we will be at record pace.
You're right. 57.09. That's awesome for the guy to a second plus better for 18th event he's ever been in.
He was 900s ahead of Dom in the first heat. He's now 7,800s.
A lot of it has to do with the start. I mean, this is a good athlete, and when you have a good athlete in the first 50 meters, when you teach him how to drive these little trays down the track at 70+ miles an hour, skid there in the uphill section, though.
Well, listen, 3 years he's in the World Cup. One thing we know, Marcus Wyatt learns quick. Now, if he can continue that learning, oh boy. 2 down, 18 to go. Reece Thornbury of New Zealand next up. 22nd starter, 5:28 getaway. He could do with an improvement on that, and that was...
he's a better starter than that. So
I don't know what happened there.
So let's see what he does this time. 5:17.
There we go. That's
what we're talking about. 900s better is equal to 2,700s at the bottom. So if he would have been 2,700s better, he would have been up probably 3 or 4 spots better too. So you need the whole package.
Even so, 5:17, I'd have said on that, okay, where's your start gone today? 800s behind Marcus Wyatt of Great Britain, and Marcus may stay in the leader's box a little while.
Reese has got more experience. He's down to 1. Speed is excellent.
109.1, faster than Wyatt, 67.8 miles an hour.
Slingshot effect under the bottom of that Kreisel curve.
Big skid, still 100s in it.
This is close. He's going to need to be perfect here, and he's not. 700's back.
Slower again.
Yeah, so he's not going to catch him.
No, Marcus Wyatt moves up 1 spot at the expense of Kiwi Reese Thornbury.
33 hundredths, look at that. He lost 3/10 from 13-14 down. I think it started in Kreisel. He looked too smooth around Kreisel. Looked like he steered too much.
Plus the skid out of 11-12. When you skid down that straightaway, you're costing yourself all sorts of time.
He was 100 entry into Kreisel. He was 100 down. He got to the bottom. He's 33 hundredths down.
Yep. One of them.
This is the uphill section out of 14. That is where Wyatt was clean.
Hit the wall both sides of the track.
Hey everybody, Amy, I love you. Mom and Dad, Kate, thanks for watching. Happy New Year.
Yep, he'll be happier to be in St. Moritz next week, I guess. Well, next up, Nathan Crumpton. Happy return to the World Cup for him. World Cup rookie 2 seasons ago. He had a really good season last year and then popped a vertebra, popped a disc rather, in his lumbar vertebra just prior to US selections and is still recovering from that.
Triple jumper, long jumper, Princeton University. Good athlete. Did well last year. Top 10 in the World Cup constantly.
Yeah, grew up all over Africa and then returning home to North America. Triple jumping, he said, is the masochist of all track and field sports. 5:17 getaways, same as Reese Thornbury.
Yeah, he's 10 hundredths better than Reese at the start last year. But that's, of course, he suffered this injury. And when you suffer that injury, you can't train. It interrupts your abilities to increase your speed at the start. And doing that, Martin, is about being in shape. And if you can't train, you can't be in shape.
Yeah. And of course, the other thing is, you know, when you pop a disc like that, you know, standing up, sitting down, sleeping, all of those are extremely painful. Big height in the Kreisel, holds it on the exit, drills the wall though, 3/10
really
back.
high there on the 13, on the 12, 11-12 combination. Needs to be perfect here to have any kind of chance. He's not. He is 6/10 back. Marcus Wyatt is going to pick off another athlete now. Crumpton, 4th best time of the run.
Drops the tail of the field.
To 20th.
Yeah.
Wow. So.
And I was getting away from him right from the start of the run. But he made the cut in the first heat, and that's, you know, the first target in a field of 27. It was by no means a given that he'd be able to do that. Teammate John Daly, by the way, is in St. Moritz, which is why he's not racing here. We race World Cup in St. Moritz next week.
Okay, the Kreisel. Does he disappear? Yeah, when you disappear, then you got to go up to the inverted part of the track, then back down, then back up. Doesn't take much to figure out that that's straight. That's not a straight line through there, and you can't do a straight line, but you can definitely lessen the distance by more of a consistent line. But when you when you do that too, then you're steering more. When you steer more, you slow down.
Drills the wall, and all of that robs him of speed. Marcus Wyatt still leads. Next up, Barrett Martineau of Canada, and he only had 1700s in hand over Marcus Wyatt, but at least he made the cut, which is what he'd been hoping for.
So we've had an American football player, we've had a track and field athlete from Princeton, and now we've got a ski jumper.
Yep.
Diversity of sport backgrounds.
He's currently a ski jump coach, but he was also one of the pre-jumpers in the Winter Games in Vancouver in 2010.
Listen to the sound.
It's a good-looking exit, but again, little squirrely sideways. And again, I'm saying his right elbow sticking out much more than his left.
So, didn't see too much scratching around Kreisel, which is why he's got a 3/10 lead.
Yeah.
And he's got speed.
Big speed.
2 miles an hour better than the leader, Marcus Wyatt, at the bottom.
72.9 to 71.7. And Wyatt, the big height, drills the wall.
57.43 though, but he just went 1 second 43 faster. It's unbelievable that they're going a couple miles an hour faster. 1 second a time is an eternity in this sport. And you're right, Martin, if the leaders go a minute or a second 40 hundredths faster, we could be in the track record times.
Yeah, if the leader goes 1.4 seconds quicker, he's going to wipe the track record from the history books by a sizable margin. Barrett Martineau got a good exit here. As in the first heat, broke into a little skid, didn't panic. It came back under him. He knew exactly where he was going with it. And the same deal, over the brow.
This is the good speed of the bottom, right there. And then watch this, though. This isn't how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
And that hurts.
He knows it's going to hurt. He saw the head come up.
If you hit right before that finish line, that costs you.
Hurts a lot more if you drop back. Barrett Martineau, the race leader with the first 5 of 20 sleds down in Altenberg. Kevin Boyer of Canada challenging to lead. At the end of this run, a Canadian will lead. Will it be Boyer or teammate Barrett Martineau, who's currently in the leader's box?
Kevin's been improving every time he's coming down the track. Good start, 5:07, the best we've seen so far. And this young Canadian just needs to get some experience.
Second season on the World Cup, second race here ever in Altenberg.
Watch the exit up top. You have to be so quiet. No scratching.
Career high, a pair of 12th places in Whistler and Winterberg this season. He was in 15th spot after the first of our 2 heats.
A little bit down on speed, which is why red number. Oh, he's really high in 12. That's going to cost him. So his teammate at the bottom is probably going to be the leader. The question is, can Kevin hold second position? Bang! Just like his teammate. No, drops one more back. 4th best time of the run. He drops back behind Marcus Wyatt by 25 hundredths.
So Marcus Wyatt picks up another spot. He's already moved up 4 places.
So 72 hundredths better for Kevin Boyer. Everybody's coming down the track faster. Kevin didn't have a clean run.
The ice is a lot quicker than it was.
And it's getting darker. It's going to get colder.
Yeah. Well, he slips into second place. It's Canada 1-2, and this is part of the reason, John.
Marcus Wyatt's in second up there. 11-12 crossover. Took too much of the curve. Here's heads down, pretty confident. Little skid there in the entrance of the speed part of the track, and then watch this. This is how not to do it. You see the red line, the Omega finish line there, and
knew it was coming, but he disciplined to keep his head down to try and reduce that air resistance. Won Ronald Auderset of Switzerland, 14th place in the first heat. And that was a big run for him. Ronald Auderset hasn't made the cut this year in the World Cup, didn't make the cut last year in the World Cup. So Matthias Biedermann, his coach there, holding the sled, and Ronald Auderset should both be very happy with that.
What can he do? 2 in a row. Second best start in the first run.
Now, put him in a yellow vest, and those quads could almost match Sun Bin Young. 5 flat.
Best start of the run, 400 slower in his first run. Now the pivotal part of the track for him, there's a couple of them, but one is coming up right here in the exit of 3. Watch out here. That might be too much steering to do that exit like that. We'll see, he's got only 2/10 of a lead. Should be more than that with that great start.
Going to be in the red at the Kreisel. Big skid, hit the wall. Long skid down the straight, 22 hundredths back.
Well, no matter what he does here, it's his personal best ever, but we'd love to see him stay in the top 2 or 3.
And again, that will come with experience. It's only his second season in the World Cup. Big height there.
14.
Won
13.
the Swiss Skeleton Championships in St. Moritz on Sunday. We go there next week. Can he build on that? Look at that, head down into the final corners. Knows where he's going, looking for the speed.
7th best time. He dropped 6 spots, but Mr. Biedermann knows that at least his athlete posted his personal best. And when you come out to the track and you do a PB, that's improvement. When that start time, the Swiss have something here. If they can teach this kid how to drive, this kid's got a chance in the next 4 years.
And he felt the sled under him in the first heat. It just got away from him in the second. Maybe he was pushing it a little harder with that confidence. But, got a bang on the nose from the helmet when his face hits the ice.
Well, this didn't help up top when you hit that hard where you're trying to accelerate the sled. That causes skids.
And look at that long toe drag.
And then here, look how high he gets in 13. That's the highest line we've seen in the men's or women's field.
Being interviewed by our colleague Ron Ringuth. Yeah, whacked his nose. Next up is Matt Antoine of the USA. Race being led by Barrett Martineau of Canada from Marcus Wyatt of Great Britain. So they both pick up another spot at the expense of Ronald Auderset. And we are heading towards the top dozen. Antoine, 9th last year in Altenberg.
He's galloping, doesn't get the best starts. 15th best start in the first run and 5th here. He'll be 15th or 16th by the time the heat is over. But one of the more experienced sliders of anybody that's come down. Matt is the most experienced. Of course, the bronze medalist at the Sochi Olympics, and that was hanging on to 3 to avoid the disaster on the take-on of 4, but that might have cost him a lot of steering.
He's opened up his advantage marginally from 21 to 24 hundredths, but now that big slide pays its price.
Boy, he's half a mile an hour down.
Yeah, it's going to be red numbers to the next clock. Oh, a hundredth in it.
Going to be pretty tough to stay in the lead. Now the question is, how far is he going to fall?
1.5 miles now, slower than current leader Barrett Martineau.
He could fall probably 1 spot behind the Canadian. 3rd best time of the run. 57.91. He still went 75 hundredths faster.
But he was over 1/3 of a second quicker than Barrett Martineau in the first heat, so yeah.
He lost a lot there.
Yeah, he did.
Lost a lot of time.
Went from 21 hundredths up to 26 hundredths back. That's a half a second deficit to Barrett Martineau.
I think curve 3-4 didn't do him any justice. Cost him a lot to try and avoid that wall. Here it is. Watch, he's way high in the outlet. He's fighting to get away from that curve 4. And watch at the back end here. And then well, that looks like a good entry into 4 to 5. But now the uphill section, this didn't help matters. That little drift and tap, and that when it can't hit down there in the high-speed part of the track like that.
Just drags the speed out of the sled. Lucky number 13, not so lucky for Axel Jungk. It worked for his teammate in the women's race. She moved up from 4th to 3rd in the first heat to complete a German sweep. But Axel Jungk, the local boy, lives in Dresden. This is his home track, but John, one of his least favorite.
Doesn't like it. And if you saw the lines he had in the first heat in curve 3 to 4, you heard the crowd go, oh, you know, when they're watching on the big screen, because he had the worst lines, 3 to 4, of anybody in the field. And here comes 3 to 4. Right here, 2, there's 3, and watch him in the exit.
Wow, that's
this time,
much more controlled.
If he did that in the first run, he would have been in the top 6.
But the steering he had to do to get it. He's 6/10 up now. Let's see if he can drive away from Barrett Martineau, or did that cost him? This is better. It's a much nicer looking run, but he's lost 1/10.
Still within
speed.
1/3 of a mile an hour of Martineau. Losing more time back. Looks good, 11, 12, 13, transition, 14. Uphill section, clean. Perfect.
Okay, better.
4/10 back, so he's going to be the leader. The question is, 3/10, 35 hundredths, 47.
Yeah.
He accelerated on the bottom.
Really did.
Listen to the crowd. They liked it. He had that magical line out of 14 in that uphill graveyard section. Didn't touch anything, and the track will reward you with good lines on the bottom. If he would have done that in the first run,
57.3 would have left him in 2nd place by 0.03 of a second.
A second and a half better.
Yep.
That's the biggest disparity we've seen so far.
Well, Axel Jungk's fan club in the orange T-shirts are here to cheer him on. He's got the lead now, but last year's bronze medalist here still has 11 sleds following him down the ice.
Good lines. This is why he accelerated away. He was losing time, and on the bottom, he gained it. Another ski jumper in the field right there.
Matthias Guggenberger of Austria next at the line. Coach Mickey Grumberger's had a bit of a torrid day. It was a horror story for Matthias's partner, Janine Flock, in the first heat. crashed essentially out of 11 and 12 on her back on the ice with a sled alongside her, hauled herself back on, but dropped to 20th place.
Affects her world as Olympic potential standing,
Yeah,
too. She
really
might not
does.
make the field. And Mickey, 9th in Lake Placid to start the season, then a 10th, 11th, 13th, and 13th. So the middle of the pack. And this is an experienced slider. We talk about Matt Antoine being an experienced slider. This guy here might have been down the track as much as anybody.
Best result on this track, 7th in November 2015's race.
When you disappear like that on that Kreisel, the turn dictates to you when you're going to get off.
In the red. So Axel Jungk is going to lead at the end. The question is, how far will he fall? He's in
going to fall 5 or 6 places.
7th on the splits.
Where does the time go away?
Well, you can hear it.
Ninth
All the
best time of
scritching
the
and
run.
scratching.
9th best time of the run.
Yeah.
That's hard to fathom. Falls all the way to 16th place.
And in fact,
That's disappointing.
that is slower than his first heat. He's
First
the first
guy.
athlete. No, Ronald Auderset went 3/10 slower as well. Not so bad for Matthias Guggenberger, but bad enough. Not a good day for Austrian skeleton,
Oh, it looks
I'm
like a
afraid.
little skip there, huh?
Yeah.
He was out of sync
He
there.
overran the sled, almost stepped
on it. A little out of sync there, but the start, well, the start wasn't that great. 10th best start.
That's why, because he just didn't quite get the balance right between his speed and the sled's position. Well, Googie watching that replay, yeah, this will be one to forget for him and especially for his partner Janine Flock. 10 down, 10 to go. Axel Jungk, the local hero, leads, but will he even finish in the top 10? That much is not guaranteed. Well, Axel Jungk with the lead from Barrett Martineau, Matt Antoine. Marcus Wyatt in 4th place, still having started 19th in this run. He'll now finish no worse than 16th, so 15th, so he's picked up 4 or 5 spots and may grab another 1 or 2 before the end if there's a few more loose runs.
Terrible first run in the exit of 3 to 4, knocked him off the sled, and he went through 3 and 4 this time like he knows how. He medaled here last year, so he shouldn't be back in 10th place. So
no, 2 runs like the one he's just laid down, Axel Jungk would have been in the medals.
Yeah.
Well, waiting at the top of the ice is another man who has been in the medals, recently claimed his first career medal in Winterberg.
Axel's enjoying the 200 people dressed in his shirts across the way.
Smiling a little bit more now. There's going to be a lot of local fans here as well for the bobsleigh race. Francesco Friedrich, the 4-time 2-man world champion, lives down the road in Pirna, which is about 12 miles from here. And basically, he's going to empty the entire town into the bobsled track for Saturday and Sunday's races.
They like their sliding here. This is a very educating sliding sports spectator group. Bobsled, luge, and skeleton. They know the sport.
Yeah.
Much like you go to the Montreal Forum in Canada and watch those French Canadians enjoy their Montreal Habs.
Well, they like it when the Germans win here, and they see a fair bit of that. But again, as you say, educated crowds like this, they cheer everybody.
They appreciate the good sliding.
Yeah. A good run's a good run. Doesn't matter what color vest you're wearing.
I'll say this, the bobsledding is going to be pretty exciting here in the next couple of days.
It's going to be a bit partisan, definitely, but it will be close. If you think the skeleton sliders look dramatic, wait till you see the bobsleighs. Second heat, round 6, the men's skeleton World Cup. We're in Altenberg in Saxony in Germany. Dave Greszczyszyn of Canada, 10th after the first heat. Oh, little stumble there as he kind of overbalances on the run.
He can't afford to stumble. He's 23rd in this race last year, so no matter what happens here, he's going to have a better finish. But the Grizz, who just medaled in Winterberg, his first medal ever in a one-heat snow race, that took him onto a podium, which deservingly so, Martin, because he almost medaled on his home track in Whistler just a couple weeks before that.
Yeah, that drifted away from him into a 7th place finish, but it didn't in Winterberg. Now then, can he
28 to
cling
25, he stopped the bleeding. Now the slingshot effect under the bottom will give him a chance. The track will reward you with good lines.
That's a good exit, but he's a mile an hour slower than Axel Jungk, who was absolutely flying down here.
I think the Grizzle, he'll drop one spot, he'd be happy with it.
I don't think he's going to fall behind teammate Barrett Martineau, who's currently second. No, he doesn't, but only by 300ths does he stay in front of the bear.
Only 4800ths better. We saw Axel Jungk go a second and a half better. We saw Barrett Martineau go 80 better.
So Grizz is 300ths ahead of Bear, the two Canadians.
He's in 8th place in the World Cup, so that should help him. He beat man Antoine.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. That'll keep him in the top 8.
And he's still ahead of Matthias Guggenberger, but Alexander Gassner behind him might be a threat.
Watch his leg come up here. This is the pressure there forced that up. And of course it's 70 miles an hour and you're 6'3" like he is and thick. Carried a lot of momentum down the track.
In fact, Alex Gassner is only 28 points behind him.
Back home. Thanks for watching. St. Moritz is next.
Yes, it is, and he'll like that a little more, I think. Nice. Gassner comes up in a few sleds time. Now then, I've got some facts for you. Martins Dukurs of Latvia, 9th after the first heat. Last time he was out of the top 10, Lake Placid, December 2013, he was 8th. Last time he was out of the 10 was February 2009.
It's a long time ago.
2 races in Park City. He was 11th and 12th in those. That's the last time he didn't have a top 10 finish.
Well, he was a little ragged, starting right here.
He was a lot ragged. It was definitely not Martins Dukurs that we know and
Especially
love.
down in the finish, he was
Now,
all over the place.
Here we go, 2300s up. Now, we've seen him come back from the most ridiculous performances, 3100s up.
Well, this is speed better than anybody else.
But
watch him. Here's where he had his problems. Right down here, 11, 12, and 13.
And it's clean, but he was 1.12 seconds off the lead, not hundreds, seconds.
From the guy who's won 50 World Cup races. He did that in Innsbruck the last time out. Bang into the finish, 57.13.
Fastest run of the day.
So there's 1 second, 2300ths better. Hey.
Yes, there you go.
Superman, the guy who's the most successful athlete in the history of the sport.
From another 5:00 start, exactly the same start as in the first heat. Nothing else was the same.
Look, I don't know what happened the first run. That's Altenberg for you.
I'm not sure I can ever remember so far back he was more than a second off the lead.
See, he doesn't disappear. When you see those sleds disappear, you have an issue. Look at his feet.
But
look
he
at his
likes
form.
the height there.
And look at the speed here. Look at these lines. Great speed, the best speeds. Martineau still has the best speed in the bottom.
Yeah, but Martins started 1.1 seconds back. Next up, Pavel Kulikov on target for a career high. This is only his 7th ever World Cup race. His best ever result, 6th position in Altenberg in November 2015. Who won that day? Martins Dukurs, Thomas Dukurs 2nd, Alexander Tretiakov 3rd.
Well, pretty impressive. Come out late. He's out of the grooves there, though.
Oh, but he keeps it together, doesn't skid sideways.
5:10.
Same as in the first heat.
Speed 49.3, which is almost 3/4 of a second down to Axel Jungk. That tells me that did cost him.
Well, listen, he's going to do well to stay in front of Martins Dukurs. What he doesn't want to do is drop behind Axel Jungk.
Well, he's 2800 back, so he's got to stop the bleeding. If he keeps it 3500 to the next clock, then he can keep it, at least just drop one spot. 32, that's not bad.
We don't see him that often on the World Cup, but when we do, he usually produces the goods for Russia. You know, when you've got Tregubov and Tregubov as your top 2, everybody else is battling for the crumbs from their table.
Yeah.
3rd spot on the splits at the moment. Oh, and a little rattle on the wall, so...
Yeah, he's falling like a stone here now.
But this is not going to be much worse than his first heat, if anything at all. No, it's 3/10 better than his first heat. It's just that Jungk and Dukurs went smoking by with really strong runs.
Well, 2/3 of the field have gone down a second better in the second heat. So he only went
3/10.
3/10
third
better.
100s, yeah. So, again, you know, a smaller improvement than the others means he loses ground. But Jungk and Dukurs, second and third last year, shouldn't have been behind him.
Watch it come out of the block.
Yeah.
See that? Now that's costly. That's costly.
It was a horrible load.
Horrible load. That was worth at least 2/10. 2/10 better right there.
Well, remember, we've seen a couple of guys kind of ahead of their sled. He was behind it there and didn't land on it.
That was 3/10, remember, maybe. So he would have been up in the top 3.
There's his
now
dad,
he's
his coach. Martins Dukurs, the race leader. Hiro Takahashi's best ever World Cup result, 7th place in Altenberg in January 2015, the last time that Martins won in this track. Now, we are non-partisan,
but we
want him to at least equal his career best, because that will put him right back in a great frame of mind.
Oh, that's
little
not
skid
good
out of
there.
that left
That's
groove.
gonna cost him. This is the biggest baseball fan in the field. Anything you want to know about baseball? Ask this guy.
Yeah,
every time him and I see each other, we get into it. He was all over me about the Yankees signing.
When he can outstat an American about baseball, you know he knows. 5:18, okay, so he's dropped behind Martins Dukurs.
Well, that's relative to the start. 1800's back of the start now. I don't think he's worried about Dukurs. He just wants to maybe finish right behind Dukurs to post his personal best of the season.
He's closing on the Latvian. Oh, here we go. Come on, Hiro.
No,
2500s. All right, well, still in second on the splits.
He gets to the bottom. Listen, this would be a great result for the Japanese program.
Yeah.
American coach Kyle Tresk got hired this year to assist, and this is what they need going into the Olympics. 7th best time, still a top 10 for Hiroshima. There's Kyle on the right. So Mr. Takahashi, his personal best of the season. That's what you want to start doing a month out of the Winter Olympic Games.
Yeah, almost his best in a quad.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, 2000, was it in 12?
And look, disappointed, you know. If he'd moved up to 8th place, he'd have been thrilled, but to slip away potentially.
Still.
But we've still got half a dozen sliders to go.
I didn't like the way this sled exited these grooves.
No, that left groove has done this all day long. We saw it with the women.
Yeah.
They're all counter-steering. Nikita did the same. They've all done it in that left groove.
This is big pressure. 13, 14. This is in the speed part. Little skid, not bad, but hey, best of the season, Hiro.
By some margin. Well, next up is Alexander Gassner of Germany. 4th last year when only Martins Dukurs prevented a German sweep of the podium. He is a one-time bronze medalist. Can he get another one? And don't forget, Gassner also trying to stay in the World Cup rankings ahead of Dave Greszczyszyn. Gassner is 18 points behind, 16 points behind him, 18 points behind him. So this is really important for Gassner to move ahead of Greszczyszyn in the World Cup standings.
Okay, he's going to have to get through here first. He does, as expected. German on a German track.
Grizz is currently 4th, and Gassner still with a 2/10 advantage over Martins Dukurs as he heads down the straightaway towards the Kreisel.
21 to 21, which means he's holding on, but he disappears and goes way up near the lip, and watch out for this exit.
Flops off the end,
16,
but it's okay.
Takes a lot of 12. Speed isn't what Dukurs had.
But he's going to be ahead of Axel Jungk, so he won't be the 3rd German here. He will be the 2nd German here. And across the line in
5th best time,
spot.
57.75. He only goes 1,500ths better than his first run. There's only 2 guys that have not gone better in their first runs, and this is probably one of the least amount of margins we've seen.
Well, now, of course, we're getting up to the top of the field. There's less room for improvement. You know, Dukurs 1.1 seconds back.
Look at this.
There's acres for improvement, but he's not happy with that.
He gets off the sled and walks right to the farthest room away from the track.
That's so he can go and kick the cat.
And then this is up in the long straightaway, about after 9
That's
to
clean
10.
enough. Just avoids
Pretty
a push on the
pretty
wall.
hard, but he gets real. Watch this. Disappears. When you disappear, then you got to go up to the inversion,
Steering
back down, Back up again, more steering.
Yeah.
When you steer like that, you lose speed. Then he's down here in the speed part of the track. He's already made his mistakes.
5 to go. Our race leader is Martins Dukurs of Latvia. 5th off the first heat, 0.8 of a second off the lead. Nikita Tregubov, the young Russian rocket. What can the 25-year-old do? Tregubov lies 5th in the World Cup standings, silver in Whistler, bronze in Innsbruck.
Surprised, though, that this junior Russian rocket doesn't have better starts. He had those last year and the year before.
Yeah, remember the World Cup race in Sochi, where he was out-starting Alexander Chetikov, and Chetikov was going, these pesky kids, looking over his shoulder at him.
He was 19 at the time. Former junior world champion, I think 2 years in a row. 2200s lead. That's big speed, too.
All right, so he's opening up a slender advantage over Dukurs, but he's got to keep it clean.
19 should be enough.
107.9, 67 miles an hour. Not as quick as Dukurs.
7,
No,
watch out.
he's not going to hold on. 115.5, that's 71.7. I'm not sure that's enough.
It's
In
like
red,
100. He
by
So he-
600s.
On the bottom part of the track, he made a comeback. It's hard to, but this track, if you could find that fast line out of 11, 12, 13, 14, you get down to 15, 16 where it's the high speed, you can be rewarded. And he was right there because he was losing time all the way to that point.
All right, top 6 now covered by 600ths of a second. So everybody else is going to be in front of them or behind 2.
Well, the start here, he's not getting the starts that he did the last couple of years.
Agreed.
And that's where he was dominating. You have that type of start. The junior Russian rocket.
He's had a bit of a racer's edge haircut over the Christmas break as well, hasn't he? So he's still hungry. 4 to go. Thomas Dukurs, silver medalist on this track in November 2015. Silver medalist on this track in January 2012. Both times behind his brother Martins.
He doesn't beat his brother too often.
Once.
Well,
His only race win came at Sigulda in Latvia, his home track, some while ago.
He was 13th at the end of the first heat, and he ended up winning the race.
5:12, that's not a bad getaway.
And as good a slider as there is, let's see what kind of line he takes here in this.
Oh, big steer again, like in the first run.
Not perfect.
What a big steer there, only 500s up.
And remember, the Russian was flying on the bottom. And this Latvian better find that same fast
There we go,
line.
10th back. 109.1, that's 67.8 miles an hour into the Kreisel.
13 back, he's coming now, but
I don't think he's got any speed in hand over Tregubov.
13 doesn't have the 115 kilometer
No,
speed.
Tregubov will stay in the leader's box.
He's gonna
Will
fall 3
Dukurs be
places.
3rd, 4th? Third at the
He
line.
snuck in there, barely. 200ths ahead of Alexander Gassner.
Yep. So Martins moves up again. Martins Dukurs will finish no worse than 5th.
Considering he had such a horrific run.
9th in the first heat. Don't forget, the last bad result that Martins has had in years, 5th position, 6th position in Whistler. This season, 5th when he crashed in Koenigsegg, Bavaria about 4 seasons ago.
Yeah, well, up top here, this is where you can look at his feet there. Look at how he's trying to get control. When you're that much control, you're slowing yourself down. Takes too much at 12.
Yep,
11, 12, that's a scary combination. Then here he flops off of 13, 14 into 15 on the wrong side.
Not a bad run, but not a medal-winning run. Nikita Tregubov leads, 3 to go. Last year's race winner, Christopher Grotheer of Germany. And his victory here in Altenberg remains his only career World Cup win from January last season.
Took a couple years off, didn't make the national team for, I think, 14, 15, 15, 16, and then showed up here last year, won this event, and
that's a good start. 5:08, started 5:12 in the first heat. He knows that every 100th of a second is going to be absolutely critical.
Germans don't have any problems with curve 3-4, except for Axel Jung in the first run. He's got 3,500s in hand. Now it's about, I got to smoke one here to have a chance to move up into silver or even the gold.
Now then, this is a really good-looking run. 3,600s ahead of Tregubov. He's painting himself into a podium finish here. He was a long way off the top. 4,100s back from the leader.
Best finish this year. He's got a couple fourths.
This is his first medal of the season, 4,300's the advantage. He's just easing away with every turn. A lot of scratching from the helmet on the ice in the final corner.
Third best time of the run.
Yeah.
Only 2,600's better. And there's another medal for Germany.
Yep.
Question is, what color is it going to be? But you got these two guys coming up. But, you know, the track, there's no victory lap for either one of these guys coming down.
No, guaranteed. Grotheer's in the medals. Jacqueline Lerling, Tina Hermann, and Anna Fernstedt went 1, 2, 3 in the women's race this morning for Germany.
This is the race within a race that gets the Germans hope to have 3 spots. And these lines here, he comes over to the right side of our screen, but boy, there's no variance there. And then into the Kreisel, does he disappear? No. And watch the second pressure point. He handles it pretty well. And this is excellent 13, and that's textbook.
Germans got first, third, and fourth last year. They're currently first, fifth, and sixth with 2 to go. And of the 2, we have a man who won the last Olympic race, Alexander Tretyakov, and the man who may be the favourite for the next one, Sunbin Jung of Korea. 900s between them, John. Who's going to win this?
94, 96, 200 slower. His whole thing, though, was in the bottom part of the track. He was lost. He had green numbers all the way to curve 14 and lost about 1,500s of the bottom part of the track.
So this is a coin toss, basically, between Tretyakov and Sunbin Jung. Neither can effectively destroy the other at the start.
Well, Sunbin Jung doesn't like this track, even though he's the leader. He told me in training, doesn't like this. It's not his favorite venue on tour.
Tretyakov was 3,200s ahead of Grotheer from the first heat. He too is creeping away back to 4,400s.
This is where he had his problem right here.
Oh.
And there it is again.
Chips the ice.
That he's swirling around.
Full kilometre an hour down.
He's going to come back into the 20s.
He's going to lead with 1 to go.
So 57.34, he just went 100th slower than his first run.
Yeah, but that's consistency.
That's a
one
silver
error,
medal.
the same error as in the first heat.
Yeah, not as bad, but he lost time on the bottom again for the second consecutive run.
So Alexander Tretyakov leads from Christopher Grotheer and Nikita Tregubov.
Silver medal at least for the Russian rocket.
Well, Tretyakov silver 2 years ago. Didn't race here last season.
This is exit of 9. This looks as clean, a little drift in the Kreisel. And then this is the problem out of 13-14. Look at the sled. He's not comfortable there on that speed part of the track, and he had lesser speed, and that cost him 10-1500s, maybe cost him the gold medal.
So now he joins us watching Sunbin Jung of Korea to see what Iron Man can produce. And here he is. So with this tailor-made, custom-built sled, like a Savile Row suit built by Richard Bromley, specifically and only for Jung.
Look at the size of his quads.
Did he slip with the first step? What a short start he makes.
Yeah, he has the 96 in the first run, 94, the best start of the second run. And, you know, when you look at the guy and you go, wow, what sport did he come from? Powerlifting, baseball, what's he come from? I don't come from any other sport. That just amazes me. I've never heard anybody answer like that.
I've never seen quads like that sitting on the couch. Mine don't look like that.
And he's
2,200s up.
He's obviously got a short fiber makeup because he's fast, he's quick, and he's fast down the track.
2,900s, the best speed we've seen from Sunbin Jung of Korea, and he's added 0.2 of a second to his first round advantage.
He's already won 3 times. This could be the 4th time in 6 races.
Yep. 3 on the bounce.
Oh, he's making it look easy. This guy is poising, or is putting himself in a position to not only be the Olympic favorite, but win the gold medal on his home track. Wow.
Race win number 4 of the season, going away from Alexander Tretiakov for Sunbin Yun, Korea, 2/10 quicker than his first heat, as if he needed it.
Tretiakov was only 1/100th difference between his first and second heat. This guy 2/10 better. I'd like to know how many heats in the season. We've got 12 heats in the season, right? Yeah. I bet you he's won about 8 of them.
I reckon so.
He's doing what Dukurs used to do.
Richard Bromley sitting in St. Moritz, watching this with a coffee and his feet up. Your boy has done it again. Win number 4 of the season in race number 6. Only 2 men have won this year. Sunbin Yun 4 times and Martins Dukurs 2 times. So Sunbin Yun victorious, Alexander Tretiakov a wry smile in the silver medal position, and last year's winner Christopher Grotheer takes bronze. There's the Saxon flag for Axel Jungk waving there, the green and white.
Well, this guy with the yellow jersey on and the extreme large quads is looking like he is the favorite as we go into the Pyeongchang Olympic Games. He's the World Cup leader by a lot now. And what this is going to do to launch the sport into Asia. Remember, the next Winter Olympic Games after Pyeongchang, Beijing. And there's Chinese on all of the tracks. So I think the Asians, this guy here is making a statement for Asia.
Oh, he's making a statement for sure. Sunbin Yun, a career win, number 4 of the season. Alexander Tretiakov in second place, ahead of Christopher Grotheer, who rounds out the podium. Martins Dukurs comes back up to 5th position, ahead of brother Thomas. And that will keep him in second in the World Cup standings.
5 different nations in the first 5.
Yeah.
That's one thing about this sport. And in bobsledding, there's a lot of diversity in the nations.
All sorts of entertaining results there as we complete our 6th World Cup race of the season. Well, there is Sunbin Yun in the weights room. Not where they lift the weights, where the sleds get weighed and measured. So his 4th win of the season. And the other 2 races, they were disasters. He only got the silver medals. Sunbin Yun with an epic season underway and heading into not just an Olympic Games, but his home Olympic Games. Can't imagine him being in anything other than really great mental form, despite what is bound to be enormous pressure when he gets to Pyeongchang in Korea. Axel Jungk feeling the love from the fans, even though he didn't really love his runs on this track. He finished in 8th place, but all those orange shirts are here to support him. And Sunbin Yun taking a win here. Alexander Tretiakov didn't race here last year, silver the year before, bronze the year before that. He's never won on this track, but he's had now 4 medals, 3 silver and a bronze. And Christopher Grotheer last year broke Martins Dukurs' winning streak of 5 straight on this track, 4 straight on this track. Last German to win here before Grotheer, by the way, was Miki Halilovic. Before him, Frank Rommel. And back in 2008, Christian Bromley won on this track ahead of John Montgomery and Frank Rommel. That was in the World Championships, the year when Christian Bromley was the world champion, the European champion, and the World Cup champion in men's skeleton. The first man ever to complete the 3 in one season. Of course, he's here coaching with the Bromley Tech sleds that he and brother Richard build, but Richard now coaching the Koreans, exclusively building sleds for Sunbin Yun to great effect. Party's already starting here in Altenberg in Germany. Axel Jungk down there with the fans. He finished in the top half dozen here, no, in 8th place. He lies 4th in the World Cup standings, but it's Sunbin Yun of Korea who's still our World Cup points leader from Martins and Thomas Dukurs. Martins, twice a winner, finished in 5th place here today after 9th in the first heat. Sunbin Yun, leader of the first heat, and won the race, going away from the rest of the field. And there's the rest of the World Cup standings. Dominic Parsons in 13th position for Great Britain, slipping a spot behind Kevin Boyer. And his rookie teammate Marcus Wyatt moving up fast, 2 races, and closing in on teammate Jerry Rice, who's in 23rd spot as they battle for an Olympic position, potentially. And Sunbin Jung, Korea, what a second run from him. He went 0.2 of a second quicker than his first run to just destroy the field, going away to win by very nearly 0.4 of a second. And again, shortening the odds on him, surely, to become the next men's skeleton Olympic champion. Martins Dukurs will have plenty to say about that. But when we get to Korea, will anybody be able to catch Sunbin Jung? The die may very well be cast in the first heat. And then we'll wait to see if pressure gets to him. Well, he's the winner today from Alexander Chetikov, and last year's winner, Christopher Grotheer, back on the podium in 3rd place for Germany. It's Grotheer's first medal of this season. And that rounds out race 6 of the BMW IBSF Men's Skeleton World Cup from the Saxon Schweiz here in Altenberg in Saxony. Until our next appointment, which will be in St. Moritz, the skeleton boys hit the road along with the skeleton girls. We'll see you then. For John Morgan and the IBSF TV crew, I'm Martin Haven saying thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time out. Goodbye for now.